Hello YouTube, my name is Ricardo Lino and I'm a wheel addict. Welcome to the new season of Skate Talks, and now we are in a different format.
Cool. You know the jungle has its rules, and I just gotta keep it cool.
If you remember, the Skate Talks used to be some kind of a podcast that I used to do on YouTube, and it would also be in other podcast platforms, but it was mainly phone calls. It was mainly done on calls through Skype, WhatsApp, Facebook, and somehow I kind of felt like it was getting outdated.
Do better for yourself. Do better for yourself.
So it's been a few months without me doing a skate talk. The last skate talk that I've done, it was with Brian Harrigan, and I didn't think I would top it. So there's also other podcasts about inline skating out there. You got Back to Blading doing a really cool podcast, and of course you need to mention the Jump Street guys, the Jump Street podcast. They're doing a really amazing job, and I kind of felt that it wasn't making that much sense for me to keep doing it.
Come on, let me see you go.
So I basically shifted to putting a little bit more effort into my videos on this YouTube channel. But things are changing. Basically, since I moved to Portugal, I actually created a little studio, just like I did in South Africa. But being in a country like Portugal, where tourism is growing day by day, I ended up realizing that I would have a lot of visits. So this is exactly what this new season of Skate Talks is going to be. Basically, I'm gonna get guests. Every now and then I'll get guests through my house. So when I got some guests that we both think it will be interesting to do a podcast or a skate talk or whatever we want to call to this, well, we'll make one. So that's exactly what this is. And today we got one of my youth heroes. We got Mr. Tom Ahlqvist from Denmark. But let me just stop with this and let me show you what happened. So
thank you.
Okay, so if anyone watching this don't know who Tom is, basically Tom for me is like a youth hero. So when I first started skating, he was like a pro for Roces, and like one of the first videos that I saw was WHEELADDICT, but like right after that WHEELADDICT came out and Tom was one of the guys on WHEELADDICT. So we're gonna talk a little bit about all that stuff.
Yeah. OG stuff.
First,
Yeah.
what are you doing in Portugal?
I'm on holiday with my family. Yeah, just a regular summer holiday, cruising around Portugal, trying to experience stuff, meet people, and as always, I try to incorporate meeting someone from the Blade family, like call somebody and say, hey, can I stay at your house for a few days? Like old skaters always done, but I try to keep it as tradition also within my family to share the Blade family and just get out there and still hear and see what's up, you know what I mean?
It is cool because like I always feel like that, like your families somehow don't understand how was it when you used to skate, because it was such a long time ago that you used to be like really, really deep in it, that they have no idea what you actually went through. So it's just like a...
Yeah,
like
my son is like always asking when I come out and I meet a guy like you and he sees that you are excited to meet me and we talk about all kinds of stuff. So we always ask questions, you know, like, oh, what was it like? Did you write autographs when you were younger? And did you actually win contests and stuff like that? And
did you?
Yeah, of course.
No, okay, cool. Let's start. Let's go
But
back.
my family has no idea like what I do. I have scrapbooks and old video clips that he's seen and stuff like that, but he can't relate. You know, he's 9 years old, so he's starting to actually realize what went on when I was a young man.
I have an idea. Let's maybe do something for your son now. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the beginning, and
I'm sorry for all the sweat because I was just out skating. So
It's 10 p.m. and we'll get there. It's better. It's 10 p.m. and I can just tell that he was skating and he's excited. But before getting there, let's go to how this should have started. Tom, how did you start? How did you got into skating?
How did I get into skating?
Where you got far from the mic.
I got into skating in 1984 on roller skates, quads, and at the local playground park there was a bunch of skateboarders back then who built a jump ramp, and I showed up with my roller skates and I thought that looked fun.
Okay, but you're telling me that you started in 84 jumping, but you started skating before, or?
I don't know, it was I started skating, went to the park, I saw skateboarders jump, and I thought that looked fun, so I started jumping the jump ramp,
That's awesome.
And it didn't go long until we started putting the jump ramp up a few stairs, on the path to make an even bigger jump, and we started breaking our stuff and had to go home to my mom and ask for better skates, I need stronger skates because they were kept breaking the trucks and the base plate, and so.
Yeah, it's funny because we were talking about this, you guys don't know, but we were talking about this 2 days ago because Tom got here. I'm living in Sines in a small town in Portugal, and Tom is just like he said in holidays, and he's cruising on the way to the Algarve, which is a common destination, and he stopped by, so we're just staying for a few days. He's staying for a few days, but one of the first days when we thought about making this podcast, we spoke a little bit about it, and you started telling me this, and then I asked you, so if you've been skating for all that time, for how long is Rene Hulgreen been skating? And you actually told me that you're skating for longer, you were skating before him, something like that.
Yeah, I remember him entering the Danish roller skating scene in 88 when I was in the roller skating scene for 3-4 years. And he came in and he just busted out. I remember I think the first time Rene came to a half pipe, he dropped in and made an invert, within 15 minutes. So he was a natural.
But was he doing any sport, or?
I think he used to do trampoline and what do you call that? Diving in the swimming pool, so he had the gymnastic and flip.
Yeah.
On the
flip
on the
body control.
Body control and all the flips, and that was really. I remember him, and I was kind of sketchy, whoa, who's this guy, Because I had older roller skaters than him. That was my heroes, So he came there and beat everybody, and I was whoa, it felt kind of weird, beating my heroes.
So when you started skating in Denmark, there was already a lot of people roller skating, or you were kind of
Yeah, there was a lot of people roller skating. There was a guy called Thomas West, who was the guy who built the ramps when I was a kid. He built the first half pipe by the sports center in my part of town, and he was the half pipe Danish champion of 1981.
1981, and was there a lot of people competing, or just
not a lot of people. It was maybe 15, 20 or something like that, But he was the champion. I remember he was my childhood hero.
It is really weird for me, and that's another thing that we were talking the other day, because I started skating really early. I started skating when I was 2.5, but just skating flat, For me to start skating ramp, it took 12 years.
Yeah.
But during those 12 years, I skateboarded a lot in ramps and all that. And the reason why I didn't use inline or roller skates wasn't because I wasn't skating. It was just because I don't know, somehow it never came through my head that I could use it for that. So I was just okay, I skateboard, and then I'll speed skate on the roller skate. So when I first saw it on TV, I'm wow, that's amazing. I want to do that. Maybe I should have seen you guys earlier.
But we did that mid-80s. Remember my first drop-in on the half pipe was a half pipe with no platform and no coping, just a 2x4 on the top.
And how would you go up?
You would climb up a ladder on the back, or you would try and skate up and sit on the edge. And if you would want to learn how to do a drop-in from standing position, you would be standing like crouched down with both hands on the 2x4.
Like squatting.
Yeah, squatting with the quads on the 2x4s, you know. And you would stand up and just lean over, you know, and roll down, you know.
Sick.
It was like a 3.10 half pipe with no platform.
Quads, no blocks,
Quads.
or with blocks back then?
It was like a transition period. I think I learned it with no blocks. And then I saw the older guys who had blocks, so I did that. You know.
Did they used to make them? Because we're talking like, for some guys watching these that don't know, like on roller skates, especially nowadays on quad skates, most of the people that are grinding, they need to use something like kind of like a grind block, of course, in between, like in between wheels, because otherwise it's such a deep groove that when you try to grind, you get stuck on the trucks, and especially if the ramp doesn't have a tabletop, it would be really easy for the whole truck to get stuck and you just face.
Yeah, but we would take. I don't even know what they call that part on the skateboard, like the plastic piece that they put on between the truck and the board back in the day, like the square piece.
Ah, that little bash, truck basher or something like that.
I don't remember what it was called.
That
like,
little thing that was 45 degrees.
No, not in the 45 degrees. Like there was a square thing that fit under the base plate of the skateboard truck.
Okay. Oh, I know.
To raise the skateboard a little bit more off the
I know
ground.
Exactly.
You would take 2 or 3 of
They
those.
still use that.
And
It's a base. It's a truck
They
base.
still use that? Yeah, maybe they do. But we would take 2 or 3 of those, and then take some of the plastic rails from skateboards, and cut them into small pieces, and we would drill them into the. Back then we would use the Sure Grip base plate. That was like the best.
It's still a lot of people still use the Sure Grip plate nowadays.
But that was it. Like I remember it being a crazy project. I grew up alone with my mom. So just getting like a hand drill with a metal drill, you know, to go through the base plate. Well, I remember it being a crazy project, you know, like learning by doing, you know. My mom would say, yeah, go for it, you know, I can't help you. and I would just sit there in my room trying to drill a hole in it.
And back then, like, I have no idea, man. I seriously have no idea. I know that nowadays, Denmark, like, people in general have, like, people can afford living.
Yeah.
But how was it the exact same when you grew up in Denmark? Was it easy for people to just, could people like afford to buy skates?
No, I'm not. At least I couldn't. Like I said, I grew up alone with my mom on a single income, and I didn't get new skates when I needed it, you know. So it was like a gaffer and a couple of screws, and like you would make the best of what you got, you know. So it was all do it yourself, build your skate. You would build everything yourself because nothing was pre-made.
And for how long did the quad thing took until you made a transition to inline skating?
I transitioned to inline skating in maybe the winter of '94.
So that was like how long after? Like you started with, you said like 84, so that's like 10
years.
It's
like 10 years on.
So you were
quads.
10 years on quads.
Yeah.
Were you doing flips and shit?
Yeah, I was in like the Danish Championship in halfpipe in '92 or something like that.
Did you ever won?
No, I came like 6th or 7th or like that, something like that. But I have the first contest diplomas where I won a contest. It's like from '88, where I win the mini ramp sparring contest.
Could you do like?
I was doing 360s over like
spine.
The spine boxes, and there was like
awesome.
Inverts over the spine and stuff like that.
Could you do McTwists? I could never do a McTwist.
I never was really good at the McTwist. I never really figure out how to throw it until like later with inline skates, and I could do it on the mini ramp and stuff.
Could you McTwist on the mini ramp?
Oh yeah, you just throw it, you know, and 720 McTwist and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's easier.
Yeah,
somehow.
Yeah, it is. It's like doing a misty flip along the ramp, you know.
Yeah, but like the McTwist 540 somehow I always hit the coping, like even on the 540.
Yeah,
not for me.
Yeah, but I was really scared of the McTwist back in the day because I had a few incidents where I tried to do it, but I landed on my shins on the platform and I would bounce out into the flat, you know.
And on the verge.
You don't want to do that too many times, you know.
No, it's not for me. I've tried it a few times. Even the one with the end, I don't know the name of it.
540 invert, we used to call that.
Or the egg. Is that the eggplant? What's the eggplant?
No, the eggplant is kind of it's more like a layback where you throw
like
it.
This,
it's
and
like a loop layback invert or something like that, you know.
Rene used to do that. But
But
anyway,
he has like
you were
got it
talking
on
about the
lock.
transition from inline skates to.
Yeah.
How did that thing from roller skate to inline skates? Because
I became really good friends with Rene, and he kind of took me under his wing from a pretty young age. You know, we're always, I was probably like 15 or 16.
was he younger than you?
No, Rene is like 6 or 7 years older than me. Yeah, he'll be 50 next year or the year after.
So
Yeah.
sick. Okay,
Yeah, so he was older than me, and he would bring me along to contests in Germany and stuff like that. But he went to Germany, and Titus was the distributor of.
Titus, for those that don't know, there's like a protection company called TSG.
Yeah.
It means Titus Safety Gear.
Yeah.
Titus is like it's a really famous skate shop in Germany.
Yeah, and they used to be the distributor of Roces skates in northern Germany, and he would go to a contest down there on his roller skates, and Titus gave him those skates and said, "Hey man, you need to transition because it's the future." And Rene came home to me and said, "Hey dude, you need to transition because it's the future, you know."
I need to pause there. Wait, I need to pause before you go to that. And I didn't even hear what you said after, because you just said the northern Germany distributor. That means like there was like a distributor for Roces just for the north of Germany and another one for the south.
Yeah,
That's how big it was.
like Titus was in the north and Zico was in the south, and I think like during the height of inline skating in the late 90s, I think Zico got the total distribution for the whole country.
That's crazy.
But in the beginning, it was split between the two, I think. At least that's how I remember it.
Yeah, because back then it was like there was Germany. There was no more West and East Germany. There was Germany.
Yeah, it was all Germany. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, the sport was that big to have like a north and a southern distributor. But like then Rene got back home and he had other.
He had a pair of Roces skates like before it was the lowrider and all that. They had a model that looked pretty much the same. You know, I think it was called a Moscow or something like that. And he had those, and then he had another pair of like a Bauer fitness skates, and he said, "Here, use that," you know.
Yeah, we need to transition. I need a buddy to do it with me, so you do it.
Yeah, you do it with me. And I put him on in Slagelse indoor skate park back then. It was like the only indoor park on the island that Copenhagen is on. Like it's called Zealand. So we would go there. I would try those skates. I would do a sitting drop in. And I
Did they have a tabletop already? 10 years later.
then there was both coping and tabletop at that time. I would do a drop in, and I had no control, so I just went like off the ramp because I couldn't go straight. There was no feeling, you know. So I ended up crashing off the ramp, and I said, "Oh, I'm never gonna do that again. I don't know what you're thinking.
I don't want to skate those
bullshit, you know. You think I'm a lycra guy, you know." So, but it took me some time, and Rene got some new skates. I got his old skates, and then I transitioned like completely into inline skating, and it didn't take long. Then Rene went to California and met up with all the Daily Bread crew and stuff like that, and he came home and told me, "Hey dude, man, look at this, look at the Hoax one, and look at Mad Beef. You have to do the rail." And I was like, "Yeah, let's go do it together." No, it hurts too much.
It's not for me.
It's
I'm 5 years older than you.
Yeah, he's like, no, it's not for me. I'm gonna show you how, and then you do it. You know, not even show you. I'm gonna tell you how, and then you do it.
I'm gonna tell you what they do, and then.
Yeah. And he would bring his camera, and like I have a lot of old photos from the first like session I went with him, learned to jump on the rail, and he would take a lot of pictures, and we would go from rail to rail just to do the rail, you know, and would soul grind all of them or front side, you know.
Did you also like soul grind? Because from the front side to the soul was completely different. Because front side mean commitment.
Oh yeah.
And soul back then everyone would do the end soul.
Oh yeah, then you would hand up in the beginning.
Or you put the hand on the shoulder. But for a front side, there's no shit like that.
Yeah, just go. Yeah.
And with aluminium frames, huh?
Yeah, with aluminium frames. There's an old picture. There's an old picture in Locals Only in Daily Bread. You remember that section where you could submit photos to get him in? Like Rene, he sent like a photo of me to Daily Bread. I put this in, you know, and there is a locals only where I think both me and John Julio are like in that, you know.
Still like the amateurs.
Yeah, still the AMs, you know.
But and then like it took a few years until did you start competing right away, or was the
Yeah, but I was always competing, like even on
yeah,
the
but
quads, you know.
but you once you transitioned, you started competing on inline skates right away, or you?
Yeah, pretty much, because it was like over like in the, I think end of '94 I transitioned completely, and in the winter spring of '95 I went to Mönchengladbach for the European Cup in bowl and halfpipe. And it was like a crazy punk party, you know, beer everywhere and people skating and crashing, and I was drunk and crashed and couldn't skate the competition. But and Rene won everything, you know, both the bowl and the halfpipe.
Yeah, we were talking about it the other day too, and it's like there used to be like this TV show. There was 2 action sports TV shows. They used to call Radical Sports, but anyway, 2 action sports TV shows in Portugal, and they somehow always had like stuff about. They always have pieces about like what was happening everywhere. Yeah. So for me, now in Sines, okay, like I got back to the place where I grew up. So my parents had all my boxes and all that stuff, and you saw what's behind this wall, right? You guys don't know it.
Crazy collection.
I have way too many skates, like from when I grew up, and now like some older stuff, and like all my tapes. Man, I'm from a small town. I'm addicted to skating, but I've been addicted to skating for way too long. So every time there was something on TV, there was instructions in my house. If something plays, you press the rec right away. There's no way. And I used to record everything. So I have all these tapes still. I need to.
Wow,
one of these days I'll find your stuff from that event. Yeah. So then after that event, once you got better after your injury.
Yeah, but then we didn't really go anywhere. Then there was like the Danish Championships, and there was like there was a few years where Morten Engmark, who's a old school big figure in roller skating and inline skating in Copenhagen, he put up a contest called Cool Runnings, which was like the biggest contest back then in Northern Europe. You know, a lot of people came, a lot of skaters came.
And back then, the skateboarders and the roller skaters, they used to go along really good, or it was?
No. It's kind of weird because we got along, but there was always like you're not really a part of it, you know.
But from them, or
from the skateboarders, you know, because you they just felt like we were below them, you know. Like today, I think. Like I don't think the mentality changed that much.
But it's you know what? The other day I saw something in a Portuguese website was like in a Portuguese not website, some old Portuguese pro skater that posted something about they were complaining about skating being in the Olympics, and the skating federation is the Portuguese skating federation is the one in charge of the skateboarding. So they were freaking out, and then they were just saying, let's not forget that skateboarding started with broken skates. That's still like the mentality. And for me, it's like, really? So what? Like that just means that without us,
you wouldn't be here.
So it's just so I don't think they're
I got a lot of shit when I was a kid roller skating in Copenhagen. I beat up some skateboarders and shit because they just were messing around. So
but now this changed, man.
It changed a lot, but it's just because the segregation is even bigger than it was back then.
I think it's maybe because now there's a lot of the people that use roller skates are girls, so they somehow accept the girls differently from the guys. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they do.
I don't really know why, but I know that one of the last times that I was in California, I was able to skate like a bowl that I don't think I would ever able to skate, to be able to skate on inline skate. I think it's called San Pedro Bowl. I think now they're like changing it, like the one under the bridge. And that on inline skates I wouldn't be able, but I was with the roller skate girl, and I was on roller skates, and they were super welcoming, man. They're like,
cool. Yeah, but usually they're welcoming, but when you talk to them, you know, but
you wouldn't talk. You'd be like,
they would never stand up for you in any way, you know.
Yeah.
Like the Copenhagen skate park, inline skaters and roller skaters can come every Wednesday and skate with the skateboarders that is also there, and they have priority, you know.
Yeah, but we also had a conversation. You were telling me that the skateboarders can go there every single day.
Yeah, they can go there all the time.
But you can come on the evenings, or
no, just Wednesday evening. I never went. I'm not gonna go there because I have a lot of friends who was part of that, you know, creating the skate park, and they wanted our support to fund the shit, you know. They want us to sign the petition for the government and all that shit, you know. And we were like, yeah, sure, man, we want a skate park. And then they got everything they wanted, and they told us we couldn't be there.
Okay, now you can come on Wednesdays evening.
And now you can come on Wednesdays. And I'm like, no, man, I'm not gonna come and not feel welcome.
Just make a shirt, fuck Wednesday.
Yeah, fuck Wednesday. And I see all the new kids going there every Wednesday, and I feel sad for them, and I feel a little sick, you know, because I kind of hate it, you know.
Yeah, but at the same time, I also understand that they want to skate, so
of
like
course.
they take the opportunity.
Yeah.
At the same time, I get your side, which is like you're like angry. You're angry because
and I'm stubborn. I'm not gonna go ever. Fuck Wednesday.
Okay, so then you came from the Euro Cup, that European Cup, and you started skating more often, and then there was like that big competition.
And big competitions in Copenhagen.
How did the old Roces deal happen for you? Because
I was all Rene. Like, even like going on the HOAX tour was Rene, you know, like learning rails was kind of to get me on that, you know, like T-Bone, they asked me to find a street skater who can do rails and do jumps in the street, you know, and he knew I was like a mini ramp and half pipe skater, so he was like, hey, maybe you should learn that, because then you can come on the tour. You know?
That is awesome. So basically there was so
basically I wasn't really a street skater until I actually went on that bus after, like the year after, like that's the spring winter of '96 when we went on that tour. And it was basically because Rene told him, oh yeah, he's a street skater. And I was like, yeah, I'm a street skater. So let's go.
Check this out. Yesterday I was talking to Tom, because it's like it happens a lot in a lot of creative works that, especially if you work by yourself, a lot of times you need to put yourself in that situation that you say like, I can do it. If you see there's a possibility for you to be able to do it, when you're selling yourself, somehow you're like, I can do it. But then you still need to go and learn how to do it. That happens a lot, like in video, in whatever. It happens. But you did that with skating.
I did that with skating.
It's like, no, I'm a street skater. Yeah. But you had to learn how to be a street skater.
Yeah, because you can also see in the skating that I do in HOAX Street that I'm kind of lost. You know, that's how I felt about it.
Dude, for me, the truth is I never even thought of you as a ramp skater. I always thought you were like the pure street skater.
Low-key ramp skater, you know, like I skated ramps until like the HOAX tour pretty much all the time.
And from then did you got back into skating half-pipe and all that? Or
no, then I got the stamp street skater, and then I just kept going, you know. And I found joy in that, you know, and progressed.
That is like so sick. I seriously had no idea, because last year, not this year in February, but last February 2018, I remember I was just cruising in a car with Matthias from Powerslide, and I saw like there was someone else in the car with me. I don't remember who was it. Maybe someone from, I don't know, it was someone from Munich, but we were cruising the car, and then we saw like, I don't know if it's a church or whatever it is, with a kink rail, and then like there's like a long kink rail with a long flat, and then I was looking at the spot, and someone was like, yeah, that's the one that Tom Ahlqvist did the gap to backslide on Oak Street. And then I was looking at that like, no way, Oak Street, that was like mid-90s, and that's huge for it. So for someone that was a ramp skater, as you say, that for me, like, that was big.
We would back in the day, we would also skate in the street. Like in Copenhagen, there was a big scene around like a fountain in downtown Copenhagen where all youth would go in the weekend and hang out on roller skates and build crazy jumps and like just get some pellets and a sheet of something and
Old
do
school
jumps.
style.
Yeah. And it was in the walking street. People would go with the hat and collect money. Would go and get beer. You know, it was like more like a party scene,
like a circus thing.
Yeah. And in that scene, we would cruise around and do gaps and hit a wall ride
or fire too. Did you guys ever jumped over fire and stuff like that?
Yeah, all kinds of shit
you
like
get
that.
Money?
You know?
You gotta get the money.
Yeah, get that money for the beer. You know.
You know, tell me something. Did you guys also do it like? Because again, I'm from a small town. You know my town now, so. Over here, what we used to do, like our only way to have those ramps was by stealing the wood from like construction work.
Yeah, we would go to the nearest construction site and you would climb the fence and grab what you needed, you know. And
okay, so I was advanced. I wasn't doing anything different from the small town.
We would just break into the nearest construction and
you ever got into trouble for it?
No, not really. Like the police would sometimes come when we were too many people and stuff like that, and
Dude, we had the worst thing here in Sinj. There was one time. This is like really stupid. We were like for a full weekend stealing wood. Like after the weekend.
If you need a ramp, you do what you gotta do.
We wanted to put a mini ramp together. It was our first mini ramp, but like all made like with stolen wood. Like then once we had all the wood and we started putting the ramp together, the owner of the construction just comes like, okay, now you can go put it all back. He waited for us to put everything together. Like, okay, now you can wait. It was the worst.
What an asshole.
Okay, anyway, a few years later, I ended up skating a mini ramp for the first time. And when you first started skating for Roces, did you start, because we're talking about the golden, I'm going to call it the golden era of skating, because it was. Once the Oaks 2 came out, when the Oaks 3 came out, it was already, people knew it was going to be a success. Because when the Oaks 3 came out, the Oaks 2 was on TV, like everywhere, even in Portugal. Portugal is a small country, and we used to watch pieces of Oaks 2 and like call this number and get new skates. And like, I don't know what they did back then, but like it was huge. It was everywhere on TV. And so when you start skating for Roces, was right away like with a paycheck, or it was just like...
Like I started skating for rollerblade before I skated for Roces. Like
also through Rene?
No, that was before that, when Rene went to America and was skating with the Daily Bread crew. I was with Morten Ingmark, the guy who also did the Cool Runnings contest, and he was part of the Danish distributor of rollerblade in Denmark. So he would get me on the show team, and we would travel Denmark and do jump ramp shows at gas stations and whatever in small towns.
But you were still, back then you were still not that good on inline skates. You were just like...
Yeah, it was still just like because there was no good inline skaters, so they would pick the
ones that knew how to skate.
And knew how to skate and give him products, you know. And we'd do jump ramp shows on the old rollerblade tarmac skate.
Lycra? Lycra?
No Lycra, no Lycra. We do jump ramp shows and jump over people, and like the bigger the jumps got, the more wheels we would break off the frames and stuff like that.
Would the skates break that easy back then?
Yeah, because if you did a big enough gap, the back wheel would just break off the frame, like the whole like the triangle of the frame. The back wheel would just break off, you know, and you would have no.
Yeah, it's like it's something that for some of you that don't know, like the frames back then, it was like a super slim thing. Yeah. There was no, I don't even think the frames had bridges, and the plastic was like, the development on plastic was far behind. So there was like there was no flexibility on it, or there would be either they would be super flexible, or they would be super hard and they would break easy. So if you would like, as an example that happened to me with the Roces Street, if like learning front flips, I would hit the back wheel and
it had the same problem.
But also when you were saying now the wheels, I also thought you were talking about breaking wheels, because the wheels back then, a lot of the wheels didn't really have like a big core. It was like a really tiny thing, so it would really be easy for the cores to break too, no?
Yeah, I remember ripping a lot of cores in the old days. Just keep like always the back wheel break off the core.
Yeah, because that's easy. Because geeking a little bit, the continuation of your body goes to your heel.
Yeah.
So like all the weight
Yeah, is on the back wheel.
is on the back wheel. So
Yeah.
when you land, it's like,
And it's just around, and we also just started using anti-rocker wheels.
yeah, so
Yeah.
all the pressure on two
Yeah,
wheels only.
On two wheels. We would take skateboard wheels and we would cut off the sides of them so they fit into the frame of the tarmac skate.
Would you, yeah, okay, I get it, but how would you do it? Would you cut it or shave it? I never really knew. I never had to
I
do
don't
it.
remember. I think we shaved it off with a
until it
grinder
gets
or
like-
something until it was like flush with the bearing. Yeah.
That's sick.
But it was like there was not a product, like it was something we heard about them making and saw on the videos that anti-rocker, how do we do that? We take some old skateboard wheels and we
Yeah, it's funny because a few years later, all I did was just like broken wheels and just use the core of the broken wheel. Because that's
yeah,
the
it
exact
doesn't
same.
really matter what you do.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like a few years later, you end up doing that.
Yeah.
So you were saying that first you skated for rollerblade. But for rollerblade, it was basically just product, doing shows. Would you
Yeah,
get...
we're product and doing shows. We would get paid per
For
day
shows?
for the shows and stuff like that.
Sorry,
Not a lot,
sorry,
but
yeah,
we would break even, like because they wouldn't pay for food. They would just pay for the day.
How much would you get paid for a show when you first started? I'm sorry, like going numbers
Like back
back
then, we would get like 80 euros a day.
80?
Yeah.
Dude, there's some people doing shows in some parts of the world right now that still don't get paid that.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Yeah, we would get like that, like 80
just for you to-
euros a day, and we wouldn't get the hotel paid and all transportation.
If
and
you make
get
10
products.
shows per month, you get a better salary than a lot of people.
Yeah, we wouldn't go every day. We would usually it was like a Thursday to Sunday, going for the weekend in some part of Denmark where there was a sport master or whatever, a sports store who sold
From
rollerblades
Thursday to
and-
Sunday, that would be like in 4 days you almost make like the actual Portuguese minimum salary
Yeah.
in the 90s.
Wow.
It is bad, huh?
Poor Portuguese people.
Yeah, those guys. And then from that to Roces, once you get on Roces,
Like in
did they ask you to leave rollerblade, or there was no deal with rollerblade? It
there was
just-
not really a contract. It was just like a mutual agreement that I was writing for them. You know, in '96, there was the second European Cup in Mönchengladbach,
Okay.
and I came. And it's
You didn't drink that here.
no, it's in '95. '95, after the contest where I injure myself, Toto takes me in his van,
Okay.
old Volkswagen, and he drives me to Evian.
We're talking about Toto Gali.
Yeah, Toto Gali, very good friend of mine. I owe him so much. Such a good
Owner of
friend.
Out
Yeah.
Skates.
Out Skates and product developer, designer, concept. I love this
Amazing.
guy.
Someone
Yeah.
that still kills it nowadays. I saw him skating for
He has
Trent
so
the
much,
other day.
so much drive, so much such an inspiring guy.
Still,
Always
to everyone.
on track, full power, and doing his thing. You know.
I would love to do one of these things with Toto one day.
Yeah,
But anyway,
could
let's keep
imagine.
going. And then he took you on the van.
He took me in the van, and he because I met a guy like somewhere, like maybe even the year before in Mönchengladbach from Lausanne, who had a skate shop, and he said, "You can always come to Lausanne."
Is that
Stay in-"
Ivano?
No, it's not Ivano. It's like it's another guy. I don't even remember his name, which is actually sad because of the story I'm gonna tell you now. Because I went to Lausanne Toto drove me to Evian, and from Evian you can take a boat across the Geneva Lake to Lausanne. So I would take the boat, and Toto would just, "Hey, this is a boat, see you," and I would
Bye.
go, and I went to Lausanne, and I went to the skate shop, and I was like, "Hey, yo, man, I'm looking for this guy. He told me I could just come and hang out and skate," and it was his brother in the store, and he was like, "Dude, man, I'm sorry, but the guy is dead."
No.
So the guy, he was dead. I came there and I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? You know, I didn't know where to go, you know. But then I hooked up with Rafael Santos, who was also at the Mönchengladbach contest. So he was like, okay, you can come and stay at my place.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Rafael Santos was probably the first European guy on Team Razors when Razors started.
Yeah, and Team Rollerblade, he was on the original European
Was
Team
it?
Rollerblade.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember, like a totally different story. If we're gonna put it in here, like Rollerblade had a audition tour where they went around Europe for skaters to audition for the European
To
team.
look for talent.
Looking for talent. And I went with the rollerblade guys from Denmark to Hamburg to skate for the rollerblade people down there. Where
You didn't have talent enough.
no, because at this point I was already transitioning into street skating a little bit, you know.
Okay.
And
So you were doing
well,
the shows already, and the guys from Rollerblade Denmark took you to the thing so that you could be international.
with the other guys, you know.
Okay.
And they were like, nah, we're probably gonna put you in the street team. And I was like, yeah, cool, man.
Yeah, I'm a street skater, you know,
Yeah.
like I got the stamp.
And I would go to some events and just be there, you know, like a hangout, you know, see the virtual and do some small stuff and hang out. And in this team was Klaus-Dieter Waldner,
I remember.
Raphael Sanders. I think.
Klaus-Dieter Wagner used to do the craziest handstands.
Yeah, he could stand forever and twist his body. Yeah.
Like a gymnast.
Yeah, really cool skater. He was really good. Yeah, and Raphael Sanders, Marcos Longardes, and there was like four skaters on the team who would do fly over each other, like standard.
And you just stay there like chilling. I'm the street skater, you know.
Yeah.
And then you got to you stayed with Raphael.
Yeah, so I stayed with Raphael for like 2 or 3 days, but then I found the other skate shop in town, Asphalt Shop, Ivano Gagliardo's shop, and Kato was there. I already met Kato the year before in Mönchengladbach.
And what was Kato doing there?
The same as me, like
Looking for the same guy.
Freeloading and finding the best skate environment and good friends and where's
trying
the skate
to get
scene.
better at skating. Yeah.
So Kato was working in the shop for Ivano. Kato is French. Lausanne is a Swiss-French town, so he could easily do a job in the store, and I would just hang out, you know, get food and stuff like that, you know. And we became really good friends. And after 3 days in Raphael's house, I moved to the attic in Ivano's building, where me and Kato would sleep in bunk beds up under the roof and have our own little place there, you know.
And for how long did you stay there?
Like on and off months. Like I would go there for a month, go back home for a few weeks, go back for a month.
Yeah, because Lausanne was somehow like...
It was the epicenter of rollerblading in the 90s in Europe.
In Europe, yeah. It was...
The biggest scene, the biggest contest, the biggest organization. And
contest-wise, it was the biggest one in the world.
Yeah, probably ever. I'm not sure if ever, but as far as I know, for me, I've never seen anything bigger than that.
Yeah.
It might, today with the FEAS contest and the big tours and stuff.
I don't know. I would compare it more with the Summer Clash thing that they tried to do. You remember the Summer Clash?
I didn't go, but I
would compare it more because the FEAS is completely different. FEAS is really... I would compare the FEAS more with the X Games somehow.
Yeah, you're right.
The Winter Clash is kind of different because it's like winter, like it's different. But
Lausanne was camping. And,
that's exactly what the Summer Clash was. Like all these things going on at the same time. But something that was amazing about the Lausanne contest is that they mixed downhill with high jump, with vert ramp. It was like, back then it was kind of, even slalom. There was slalom in the same
there was
event.
everything at the Lausanne contest back then.
The only thing that wasn't there was speed skating because there was some type of like thing against the lycra.
No, but they were downhilling, you know.
No, but even that, like the Lausanne guys that used to win, it was mainly like, there was already hardcore downhill
in Lausanne.
Skaters in Lausanne. And none of them was like a real speed skater. Nowadays,
they were downhill skaters. Like they would take the bus up to the top of Lausanne and they would skate downhill and take the bus up and skate downhill, a new route, you know. And so
do you remember Luc Lenoir?
Yeah, I was just gonna say the Lino brothers. They were legends.
That was the first person that I've ever seen, again, as the noob that watched TV the whole day and asked everyone to press rec on it. I remember watching this guy just doing like the sickest slides ever.
He would carve.
He would slide like if he was on skis on inline skates, and he was on five wheels.
Drifting around really tight hairpin corners, downhill, full speed.
But the thing is, for me, that completely changed me as a speed skater, because back then I was already using inline skates for speed skating. I made a transition from quads to inlines or speed skates. And then all of my teammates were like super like picky with their skates. The wheels need to be like this, and it's a carbon boot. It's really expensive, and after me seeing that Luc Lenoir doing slides, I'm like, I gotta learn that. Yeah. And since then, my skates were never the same again. I always had the worst wheels because every time like end of the trains, I would always try like to slide, and like my boots were always super scuffed. And
but sliding in Lausanne was like a thing. You would skate downhill, and you would like just slide like full speed.
You still got it, huh? You learned back then, you still got it. I just saw you like doing those
on the backbone, Yeah, a cool story about sliding is like we had like 3 weeks of drought with no rain in Lausanne. And we used to have like, if it rained, we would go skate downhill.
Okay.
Because you would be extra slippery,
And that's when you want.
And one night, Ivano came up and woke me and Kato up in the bunk bed up under the roof. He was in the second floor and we were up in the fifth, He would come up, hey guys.
It's raining.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning. What are you doing? It's raining, man. It's raining. And we were like, yeah, are you serious? And at 4 o'clock in the morning, we would put skates and we would fucking hike up the town, and we would bomb hills and slide, just the longest slides. Like,
were you using aggressive skates back then for that?
Yeah.
That's crazy. And Ivano too?
Yeah.
Because Ivano was like crazy good at downhill, but always with aggressive skates?
Always with aggressive skates.
That's crazy that you were like, how big were the wheels?
Like I killed Cosmo wheels, like so many Cosmo wheels I killed on the downhill.
Did you pay for them?
Yeah, some of them I did. I remember paying for them and then just going skating and like just being eager and okay, fuck it, gonna do the downhill, and you come down and you're flat spots all over and you're like, fuck, that was
okay, but wait, we're jumping
downhill,
here and there.
I'm sorry.
It's so good. I'm happy. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, guys. Like, it's just like I'm a fan, so I'm just making all my questions.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy it.
No, the thing is, you still didn't tell me how the whole Roces thing happened, because we started with the rollerblade audition.
Yeah, but like the Roces thing is like crazy. Like, because me and Kato...
There was a rollerblade audition. And then after the rollerblade audition...
I never really got a contract with rollerblade.
Yeah, and then you got picked up, and then in that Euro Cup, you got picked up by Kato. You went, and then you left.
I picked up by Toto and went down.
By Toto, sorry. Yeah. And then you went to Lausanne and you met Kato.
And
Ivano. Then you met Ivano. Yeah. And then I remember...
Ivano was on the Roces team.
I know. Yeah. That's what I was asking.
This is when the Majestic 12 came out the first time. 20 years ago.
That was 96.
Yeah, probably 96.
96.
Yeah. And I remember waking up with a brand new pair of Majestic 12s.
With the Senate wheels, the black Senate.
With the black Senate wheels inside my sleeping bag, And Ivano sitting next to me like this, waiting for me to wake up and be all excited. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is this, And I was so happy.
Back then there was no phone to make a story.
No, there was no story. So he would just sit there and wait for me to wake up, after he put the skates in my sleeping bag. And that's where I got my first Roces skates.
What skates did you have before that?
I was on the rollerblade skates, but with a aluminum sure grip inline frame, because the distributor in Denmark was sick of me breaking the wheel of the frames.
I didn't know.
So they took off the rivets and they put on like a hockey frame and made a groove in it.
I didn't know.
I would grind on that and go. It was a crazy sound, So he'd been watching me skate that, So he was like, oh, you need new skates. So he got me a brand new pair of M12s.
But was it from his shop or from Roces? Roces.
I have no idea. I was just happy, you know. Probably from Roces, you know. I don't think he would pull it out of his shop.
I'm just trying to I'm trying to draw a timeline.
Yeah.
So was this was before Oak Street? Because
Yes,
on Oak
this
Street
is
you
before
were
Oak Street, probably. Yeah, it must have been. Or is it? I don't know. That.
Oak Street was summer 96. And this was like probably before.
So this is 95.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's when
Probably
yeah.
95, yeah.
Yeah,
It's 95. It's 95
I'll
because
tell you
it's
why
all...
95. I was 15 when I went to the 10th grade and I bought my first aggressive inline skates with 15 and they were the Roces Street. It was the same year on the catalog that was already the Majestic.
Okay.
But they were going to be more expensive and I
Yeah.
didn't have money for the Majestic, so I went for the Roces Street. Worst
Because
mistake.
95 was the first Lausanne contest and I didn't go. 96 is the first Lausanne contest I went to. And
Already with Majestics.
with Majestics, because already then in the early 96... I'm so confused.
Yeah, it's 96. Early 96, that's probably when that...
Yeah.
95 was the year that Nicky Bruce tried to do the front flip over.
Yeah, and I wasn't there. Yeah. Yeah. And 96, I was just randomly like in Lausanne. I would buy a Interrail ticket.
Yeah.
And I would just take the train around.
For people listening
Europe.
to this, I don't know what the Interrail is. It's like basically there's a ticket that you can buy in Europe called the Interrail that allows you to just go on you can buy per regions and then you can just go all over Europe on trains.
Yeah.
So
I would do that, and I was in Lausanne at the contest. And when the registration was on, Ivano's wife, Emmanuelle, she was like, "Hey Tom, are you not skating the contest?" And I was like, "It's a pro contest. Am I allowed?" You know, I didn't even know if I could enter the contest, or I didn't have the money to enter. So she was, "Oh no worries, man. I'm gonna put you on the list." Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, but get back to the Roces thing.
that's what I'm saying. But when did the whole thing happen? Because
like after me and Kato became really good friends in Lausanne, we started doing the Interrail thing together. You know.
all year, were you studying? Were you doing anything back then?
Yeah, just traveling. I would go to Copenhagen and work as a substitute hospital porter. You know, I would push the bed in the hospital with the patient or with the dirty bed to the cleaning and stuff like that.
You had a little bit of money?
You get a little bit money, enough for the ticket and some food, and you go again. You know, I would just go back and forth. And me and Kato, we started traveling, and we went on Interrail, and we kept prolonging it. Back then, it wasn't like a digital ticket with prints and stuff like it. It was written by hand with a ball pen. So we would sit in the train at the end of the month and like try to rub it off and make a new date so we could do another month. You know. And we succeeded. We traveled like 2-3 months on the same ticket, you know, just cruising around. And we ended up in Copenhagen at my mom's place. And we're like, oh, what are we gonna do? You know, and we talked to Ivano, and he said like, yeah, but he was on the way to San Francisco for a Roces team meeting, you know, and there was a get down or whatever. And we were like, wow, it could be crazy to go to America, you know. And so we wrote a letter and sent it in the telefax, where it said like, hello Roces, we know that you know who we are. We think we did a big effort for you promoting your skate and stuff like that.
This was after Oak Street.
Yeah, it must have been.
So when Oak Street was on, you were still not on Roces?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, because we would write that telefax and send it to Roces and say, we deserve tickets to America. Don't you understand that? Like, kind of like,
yeah.
Look at us. Get us over there, you know. And we didn't really get a reply. But like 1 week later, like there was come a UPS guy with 2 big boxes, you know. And we're like, whoa,
How did he find your address?
I have no idea. Maybe we might have written it on the, because we made it very official. We called it the Tomcat Inc. company, and with my address and everything. So I just used that.
Tomcat
Inc. Tom and Kato, we did that shit. Yeah, it was crazy.
Inc. Why? Because of the graffiti?
No, just because of like it seemed corporate, There was like no reason, but we were graffiti painters, and that was kind of also what drove us around Europe, like skating and painting graffiti.
So then the UPS guy came.
Yeah, he came, and there was 2 boxes from Roces. We would open the box, and on top there was a big travel bag. We would take out the bag, and boom, there were 2 pairs of jeans, put them in the bag. 5 pairs of socks, put them in the bag. 8 t-shirts, put them in the bag. Full setup, jackets, everything.
How many pairs of skates?
Not just 1 pair of skates for each, But it was like just take everything out of the box and put it in the bag. And in the bottom there was plane tickets to Los Angeles. Return 3 months over there.
No way. That's amazing.
Yeah, crazy, huh?
So Kato used to skate for Roces too.
Yeah, he was full on Roces, like not on contract, because when they proposed me the contract, they also proposed Kato the contract, but Kato was already drawing the ramp skate, so he couldn't join the team because he was working in another direction.
Okay, so then that was about. So those type of meetings happens like end of summer or was that 97?
Yeah, it's been like the end of 96, like the fall of 96.
Yeah.
We went 2-3 months.
So that's when the Majestic White was about to come out. That was the second year of the Majestic.
No, that's in 97, the white one.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It was about to come out.
Yeah, it was about to come out.
Because that's the skate that I always remember. Tom Ahlqvist skate somehow.
And me and Kato, we would go to Los Angeles, and we had called somebody, I don't remember who, maybe Arlo or something, and said, "Hey man, we're coming. Can someone pick us up in LAX?" And TJ Weber came and picked me and Kato up. We were like, "Yo, dude." Never met the guy before.
But that's weird because TJ was never on Roces, he was on Oxygen, right?
Yeah, but I think we talked to Arlo and TJ was on Senate, so we kind of went that way into...
That was like the type of connection. That's amazing. That's what I love about skating.
Yeah. And we stayed at TJ and Brian Smith's house for way too long in Venice Beach, just fucking smoking and drinking and skating. And I think in the end, I don't remember if they kicked us out or we just got the feeling, we've been here too long, we have to go, but we went with nothing. We had no money with us. It was like we traveled in Europe.
So basically Roces gave you that, but they never gave you a contract back then?
No, not back then, because we just asked for the American flight ticket, that's what we wanted, so that's what we got, So we went, and we didn't have a car. That's also why we stayed in Venice Beach for too long, because how are you going to get around America without a car? I didn't even have a license back then, It's like, how are you going to...
Now you don't have a license again, but anyway, let's keep going.
Cut. Big secret. Yeah. But TJ, he took us to the Senate headquarters, like the big office and the warehouse. And Brooke Howard Smith, thank you, OG legend. He was like, "Hey man, I'm going to New Zealand for a couple of months. And when I come back, I'm going to buy a new car. So you can just take my old Golf, like Volkswagen Golf, and you can drive it until you go home." We were like, "Cool, but we have no money for gas."
Did you crash it?
No, it was really good. Well, we might have. But we were like, "Okay, cool, but we have no money for gas." And they were like, "Okay, come." And he took us to a back room of the warehouse.
Senate?
In Senate. And he opened the door and there was like all the second-hand wheels. Not used, but with print mistakes and someone with a hole in to put a keychain.
Okay. Just sell it.
Just take as much as you want and you can sell it on the road. So we would fill the trunk with all the old TJ Weber and Michael Pellick wheels, Arlo's wheels, and Brian Konowski and like all the OG Pro, the first the first generation Senate Pro wheels, and we would just fill the trunk, and every time we would come to a skate park, we'd do a session, and we would go, "Hey, $1 wheels, $1 wheels." And all the skaters would come out and buy wheels for $1, you know.
And you would have money every
And
day.
we would buy like some vegetables and whatever. And
You could live good, man.
Yeah,
you could sell it for $2.
We would sleep in the car and just.
For how long was that? You had 3 months, so is that like?
Yeah, we had the ticket was 3 months, but we stayed for 2 months, because we were broke. So we went to the airport and they were like, we're flying in a month. We need to go home now. Can you please help us? Put us on a plane home.
And
they changed the ticket and we went
without
back
paying, because nowadays no one would do that for you. You know that.
We didn't pay for changing the date on it.
That's cool.
But we were desperate in the end.
And then you got back to Europe. Did you felt a huge change on skating? Because that's usually, this is how I felt the first time I went to America. When I was there, I didn't felt like I skated anything special.
Yeah.
Which somehow maybe I did, because I'm not saying, I'm just saying like once you come back, while you're there, it just feels like you're skating normally.
Yeah.
But once you get back, things, to me at least, started happening. I'm pretty sure with you guys was something.
Yeah, for sure it boosted the career or whatever you say.
Because there was not that many people going, Europeans going.
Yeah, we were pretty much some of the first Europeans at least the first European street skaters to go to America to skate on inline skates.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but we would cruise around all the LA area. We went north to San Francisco and San Jose, and we would sleep in the driveway of John Julio's parents and just mess around, skate with everybody, go everywhere, skate the...
So you were seen as the European street skater or something like, European street skaters are here.
Yeah. But it was crazy. We had no idea of American culture or how to act, or we were European punks coming to athletes, you know. That's how it felt, at least, you know, it was so organized and corporate, and people were pretty straight, you know, and we were just punks, you know, pure mayhem.
You should be lucky that nothing happened as punks.
We could have been arrested so many times in America.
I can only imagine, with all the rules and
talk to some of the OG American skaters that we visited, and they would be like, we remember those times, you know. Yeah.
And then, now you guys got back to Europe. But when did the Roces... You proposed them, or they proposed you?
When I came back from America, they proposed the contract to me.
So basically there was media, there was photos and stuff like that coming from you guys while you were there, or just...
No, nothing at all. We would, Ivano came to San Francisco at the end of the trip to meet with all the Roces guys, and we crashed the hotel, you know. Slept on their floors, you know, ran around naked in the hotel and stuff like that, like Europeans do, you know.
Not all.
Not all. No, just kidding.
Just the punks.
Yeah, just the punks. Yeah.
And then after crashing the party.
After crashing the party, I think they just felt like we were part of it, you know. So they proposed us contracts, and I signed it because I didn't have plans with Rems.
It was much better for you to do that than pushing pads in the hospital.
Yeah, way better. We make more money skating than working back home.
Can you say how much money around how much money Roces would pay you back then, like 97?
My first contract was like $2,000 a month as a standard rate.
As a first contract?
At the first contract.
Probably no one is getting paid that nowadays.
They proposed less, but I wanted more, so I told them I want more. Because if they want me to be a professional skater and do nothing but skate, they need to pay for it, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Do you have an idea how much would the top pro skater from Roces would get paid there back then?
Back then, yeah, a lot.
Like double that, triple that?
Yeah, triple maybe.
Like $6,000-$7,000. That's sick.
Yeah. I think Rene made a lot.
Yeah,
there's some of those top guys. They made a lot of money in the 90s.
Dude, he was a reference for everyone.
Yeah, and the prize money was ridiculous. Sometimes you would go and you could win $10,000 at a contest, you know, for taking first prize.
Yeah, I still need to do something like this with Sven. one of these days,
Yeah.
because I always heard that Sven was one of those guys
Yeah,
that.
he went to all the contests and cashed in, you know.
From what I heard, he was one of those guys that was the smartest ones with money, and we know that
Yeah, he took it
he is
serious.
a super clean guy, and like I like what he does, and
Yeah.
he invested. Nowadays, he invested on his own company,
Yeah,
which is
for
like
sure.
a show company, which is cool. I love it.
But in my era, there was like a transition from lifestyle punks, as I call them, to athletes. Like it was a totally different
Yeah, way of living.
way of living and approach to where and why you would skate.
But I think nowadays that still happens. I think there was a time, I don't know, maybe you correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a time in skating that things started changing. And I remember one of my first girlfriends once telling me that, you guys, you skaters look all the same. There's a new trend and everyone goes with it.
Yeah.
But it still happens a bit nowadays. It is the truth. But at the same time, I see a lot more diversity nowadays because there's trends that come and go. But on each trend, there's some people that get in the trend, but then they stay, you know?
Yeah.
Could you ever imagine nowadays like Carlos Pianowski just rocking like all like hip hop or whatever? It's just like some people just stay there, like, you know, like it's just different.
Yeah. You grew up in style as well. As
That's also another
personality,
thing.
you know,
Yeah.
like that's how it is. And people were sponsored, so they were all wearing the same T-shirt. So like.
That was somehow being professional. But back then, it was like there was money to be professional somehow. You know, you understand what I'm saying? It's like someone getting paid $7,000 or $6,000 or even $2,000 if that's all the money that you make in the end of the month, or most of it, not all because we're gonna go out there. But if that's most of the money that you make in the end of the month, if someone tells you to rock a shirt, you don't care if it's pretty or not. You're gonna use it because it's part of your job, you know.
Part of it, yeah.
Now, I just said that was not your only sponsor. Back then, you had other sponsors, right?
Yeah, but
the main one was Roces.
The
Right?
main one was Roces. Then I would swap around with different clothing companies. I would get free wheels from Seco in Germany and stuff like that, you know. But I never signed something with anybody else than Roces, just to be.
So in the 90s, if someone would give you clothes, would they pay you to use those clothes, or?
Yeah, sometimes they would. Like Rene, he had the whole clothing collection from Time Zone, like a 25-piece clothing collection.
Yeah, but he was known for
Viking,
using
you know?
that.
Yeah. And he would wear that all the time because.
But that was a contract, right?
That was a contract, and they were using his name, and like he was the only Time Zone pro or whatever.
No, there was more, I think.
Yeah, but he was the only one with a legit clothing line.
Contract.
That was like the Viking clothing line, you know. So. Yeah.
But like as an example, I don't know if you're okay with that, but like there was a time that you were skating for a company that nowadays is something completely different. Nowadays there's like their own product lines, but back then there was just a distribution. They used to pay you just to use the wheels that they used to distribute. Basically,
they
as
do
a
that.
distributor.
Yeah, distributors would pay, also pay the Pro-Am or whatever to use the medium wheels or Senate wheels or wear the 976 clothing and stuff like that.
Okay, and how would people know like what wheels we're using? Because this is all like curiosity, and for some people listening to this, like imagine nowadays there's social media, you can say I'm using these wheels, but back then, how was it? There was a lot more, a bigger scene, right?
Yeah, but you went and you looked at it, you know.
Yeah, because it was different.
Yeah.
It was feeling like you would go to a session, people, he skates for Roces, like this he skates.
Yeah, like I would always, I never had a wheel sponsor and I never looked for one because I would get Cosmo wheels from Rene and nothing was better than that. Everything else would feel like a rubber, you know.
A toy.
Yeah, it's like you push the plastic in front. You have a small ball in front of the wheel that just compresses your energy and takes speed away, you know. I would take on a hyper wheel, drop in the bowl and go straight to my face because my feet stop, you know. I have an expectation of momentum that didn't exist in those wheels, you know. So I would always skate Cosmo wheels. And for me, like, Cosmo wheels was out of reach, you know. It's like Australian brand, like big guys were skating that, you know. even I had heroes back then.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's what I was
yeah.
going to ask. Who was your heroes back then?
Rene, Tom Fry, like the older guys, they were all older than me.
And like as an example, like you're one of the first real street skaters for me.
Yeah.
Like you said that you used to be like a ramp skater, but you transitioned to a street skater. As one of the first somehow street skaters, who would be your main influences as a street skater?
Yeah, but HOAX won.
Okay.
Like Rene would show me
Brooke Howard Smith.
Brooke Howard Smith, Arlo, Michael Pellick, like all the OGs, like the New York crew, Ryan Jacklon, Dave Ortega.
Okay, I was going to ask you that because the first guys that you told me, yeah, Arlo, yes, a lot, but like Brooke Howard Smith as an example, his style was like, it was a style for that era, you know,
Yeah.
but it wasn't the cleanest style. But somehow
No, it was
I
like
always remember of Tom
all or
Ahlqvist
nothing.
as someone with a super clean style. Even like
thank you.
when you even like that gap back slides that we already spoke, you land in something that I call drop knee because it's like a stance in bodyboarding.
Yeah.
But even when you would land on that drop knee stance, it would look like you're under control. You know, it's not just a.
But also the spot called for that because it was all like.
I'm not even. But I'm not. It's not even a
Yeah.
complaint. It's
No,
just
no.
like even when that.
Yeah. But that was also how it was done back then. Like the early 90s was all like down on the knees, you know, Edward style, you know, cruising. So it was just, that's how you would kill the impact, you know.
Okay, so, but your main influence would be like those guys.
Yeah, it would be because they were-
style-wise, same, or you would try to do
I
something.
never really thought about the style, you know. It was more about just executing the trick.
But you thought about making it as perfect as possible because back then that wasn't the thing. It's just like, man, I remember like it doesn't matter.
It's like
It was
usually
natural.
we would go to a spot and we wouldn't session it. We would go to do one trick to feel that we killed it.
Okay. So for me,
Yeah.
first time I heard about style was Ryan Jacklin.
Yeah.
Ryan Jacklin is not, for him it didn't matter if he did a fake 7. It was like a fake 7, but the way he landed needed to have some attitude, some like, you know, like style didn't necessarily mean bringing your ass super low and bending your knees a lot. It was more like about the way that you wanted the trick to look like, you know. But that didn't seem like it was a really common thing.
It wasn't the objective because we weren't filming stuff. We would go and do it for
yourselves.
for yourself, for the feeling of doing the trick and knowing that you did it. So you would go to a crazy drop thing or a long ass rail and you would do whatever to do it just once, you know. And when you did it once, you were like, oh, this was dangerous. I'm not gonna do it again.
And
you
it's
know?
like, how is it for someone that? How was it for someone like you? Like you're saying, like you used to do it mainly for yourself.
Yeah.
I kind of like it the same because I'm from a small town and like there was basically no one skating with me. But how was it from someone that used to skate like you, even if you'd skate with a lot of people without ever having a camera, when you get like in front of photographers or in front of a camera?
Yeah, but I always felt super weird about it. Like even on the HOAX 3 tour, there's not a lot of footage of me because I never coordinated with the guy who was filming it. You know, Evan Stone. He was always like, "Oh, can you do that again?" I'm like, "No." You know, why would I do it again? You know, it's for the movie. That's why you're here. Oh yeah, I kind of didn't even have the concept in my head that that's what we were there for. You know, for me it was just a tour going. You know,
just cruising with your friend.
If you want to make a film, you better capture when I do something. You know. And that's kind of been the mentality through all my years of skating. Like I remember going on tours with Toto and all the guys in the van, and there would be like photographers asking, "Oh, can I tag along?" And we were like, "No, why would you do that?
You're not my friend.
Why would we bring you along? You know, it made no sense." And if we did, it would take like us 2 days to raise hell and like just be angry with each other, and the photographer would go home or whatever, you know.
But and later, once you got used to that, what was your relationship with photographers?
But I never got used to that.
Is it?
No.
Like I'm gonna be honest with
Have
you.
you
like,
ever seen a video part of me?
No.
No, because it's not possible.
Maybe it is.
Maybe it is, but
maybe
it's
we still gotta do it.
And I'm 50.
Still on time.
Yeah.
We got 8 years, right?
Yeah. I saw Tony Hawk make a 50-year-old session.
51.
51.
Don't think he won.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I am gonna do the same.
Maybe. Why not, man? You got the skill.
I thought about it when I turned 40. Do 40 for 40. Do the 40 different tricks.
Now you gotta do it 50. It's gotta be a little bit harder.
Also, like, I just find the project it's not appealing to me. I don't skate to see my trick again. And I don't really care about seeing what I did.
But at the same time, you like to make your tricks look solid. Because I see, like, as an example. Okay, let me show you something. Let me just show you something. We went skating yesterday, and let me show you what we did.
Let me try to go behind without killing myself. I drop from there. That was awesome. I didn't feel the line. That was cool, man. Yes! I love it there. And you can do the other one, the one with the heels? You good? Let's go.
Okay, now they just saw what we did. So, like, we were just skating, and like you did like topsoul, like they did like just carve across the curve, and then the topsoul, and then you did like a fishburn. You did the fishburn before, but then you went and did it again because you didn't felt like it was good enough. So you actually care about making the tricks look the way you want.
But that's not true, Ricardo. You asked me to do that again.
Okay, and you didn't tell me. No.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, why would you do it?
But that's not for me. It's for you.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't find pleasure in watching myself skating. You know, I find pleasure in you feeling happy that I do it. You know, like
That's cool.
But that's on my older days. You know, and I find another appreciation of making you happy.
Okay.
Then,
But like now.
like for me, I could just skate and feel just as happy. I don't have to see it again.
But now we're talking about something that we also spoke over the last few days that you're staying here, which is you were telling me that one of the reasons why you don't skate that often nowadays is because your body is super messed up. What's exactly happening with your body? Because like most of the old school skaters, a lot of the older skaters that we have, like a lot of the OGs, they just say that they can't skate because of their bodies.
Yeah.
And I would like to hear from you, like, what's exactly?
Like for me, I wake up with pain almost every day. Like my right knee is pretty broken. Both the ligaments and the meniscus is a problem. My left knee locks up. So every time I stand up, it's gonna go, plonk, you know.
But I can ask you one thing right now. You skated yesterday or 2 days ago, just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
But how do you feel now?
I actually feel alright.
Maybe because you didn't push the way that skating is, because that's something that we've been talking about. Because you were telling me, no, for me skating is.
It's like a full power, it's like when I see other people skate in a bowl and they reach a dead point and they stop and do just a small disaster to take a break. For me, your run is over.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
That's
the
not
sensation ends there for me.
Okay.
So if I end at the dead spot, I don't stop. I go up, you know.
Okay.
Because for me, it's the momentum, it's the speed, it's the point between G-force and zero gravity, and the G-force. You know, like it's being in the air, feeling weightless, but it's also trying as much as you can to move the ramp when you push the corner.
Okay, I get it. Like you want to, every time that you push, you want to feel like you're powerful
I want
enough
to
to
feel
do something.
the energy and the momentum to reach the point of adrenaline that I have to reach, like for me, you know.
I get it. You do it for yourself. But what about? And that's like one of the reasons why nowadays you can't skate that often. What about adapting somehow your style of skating?
Yeah, we talked about that, like, and it's for sure something that I think a lot about. Like, for example, Kazu from Japan.
Yeah.
We talked about that. Like, I see him do what he does, and I hate it because it's so far from what I do and what I find
But
exciting.
you respect what he does.
But I respect what he does, and I envy the fact that he gets a good feeling out of doing that.
Yeah.
I wish I could get that.
But there's a lot of other things that you can do still without putting yourself in the position that you don't move yourself the next day. Like carving a bowl, you like.
That's what I do. It's like
Yeah,
when I go skate, I skate bowls.
Yeah, but again, you were telling me something that you really love is that adrenaline feeling that feel like you're doing something. So right before we filmed this, the reason why Toto was sweating is like
Tom.
sorry. The reason why Tom was sweating was like right behind his wall. I got like quite a few skates, so he was testing like 4 or 5 pairs of skates from like 80 millimeters rocker, 90 millimeters flat, 3x110, the wizard frame, and he was just cruising down the streets.
Yeah, it was fun.
And like that's what I'm saying. And then you came in and just like, oh, that was so fun.
Yeah.
See, so what I'm trying to say is like, you ended up putting your skates on and enjoying your skates in a completely different way, and still being able to get that adrenaline rush. Maybe not here, wasn't steep enough, but we were having this conversation like 2 days ago, what I was telling you, like we don't see people doing that, but you see, like as an example in surfing, people travel the world for the day that it's going to be that swell hitting whatever in Namibia.
Yeah.
People travel from Australia to be in Namibia for 5 hours of waves.
Yeah.
What we do, we can go to this place. Again, you can wait for the rain if you want it to be slippery, and go to the craziest hill in the world. And like you get like that adrenaline rush that very few things in the world will give you. And the amount of control that you have on the skates will allow you to do it. Very few people in the whole world can do it. You know what I'm saying? Because you have that control. Yeah. And you're someone that's looking...
control and confidence to do whatever, you know.
Yeah, so that could be maybe a different way to get that adrenaline. It doesn't always need to be like doing a 720 McTwist or whatever. You adapt.
Yeah. You also get older.
Exactly.
So, get older and, I don't know, man. Another part of that, like not skating as much, is also like a social thing. That's what I think. Like skating is... 50% skating and 50% the people you do it with.
Do you mean that you don't relate that much with the people skating nowadays, and you don't feel like...
Like my generation just don't skate anymore, you know, and the new generation skate in a different way that I would do.
It's not appealing for you.
It's not really appealing to go to a concrete ledge
and what
for
about,
5 hours and do grinds, you know.
I can't either.
I would much rather still to this day go to a drop kink rail and try and do that. If you want to take me to a street session, I'm going to do that once, and then I'm going to go home with a good feeling that I did that, you know?
Yeah, but at the same time, what about like getting like your crew together and try to just go like for a session, like trying to get the same vibes, like without killing yourself?
Yeah, but my crew is old and broken, you know.
Broken if they want to. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. They're always going to be broken if the thing is like, we're here to kill.
Yeah.
I guess it's like, I'm not saying you're right or wrong, or I'm right or wrong. It's like...
It's just a different perspective, you know.
Yeah, we're having this conversation the other day. Basically, I was showing my ankles to Tom, and like, dude, my ankle is just like a big ball.
It's
and
a
like,
big ball.
Yeah, it's just like, if I'm going to try to skate the same way I skated 10 years ago, I couldn't skate. Yeah. And it came to a point that I used to just say, no, I can't skate. It's basically what you're telling me now. I just can't skate. And then what did I start doing? I started riding bikes. And then when I moved to South Africa, I wasn't able to ride bikes. And I somehow, through one of my best friends nowadays, I just found different ways to skate. I told you, like Greg, this friend of mine, Greg Fraser, used to take me to, there's a rock in the floor, now skate. and they're like, what am I gonna do here?
Yeah.
And then you slowly, I'm not saying it's the exact same as Kazoo or something like that. It's his job. Is just an example. I never skated a stone on the floor, but this is an example of like how you need to push yourself to start doing it, and with time start enjoying it. I guess a lot of times, like you were saying, it's more about having the right crew with you, the people that you can somehow relate with.
Yeah.
As an example, I'm pretty sure that if you would be living in the same town, we would find ways to cruise down,
Yeah, for sure.
like downhill, whatever. We'll find ways. It's for me. I'm sorry, man. It's just frustrating, like seeing one of my heroes not skating.
But don't get me wrong. I still skate. You know, like
Okay.
I still go to the park. I try to get my kids into skating.
I love it.
Without pushing them. They both started skating when they were 3 years old. I always brought them to the park. You know.
And they're good.
Yeah, they skate all right.
They're good.
Yeah, you think so? Thank you.
Yeah, your daughter, like, so yesterday I made a video with her kids, and your daughter is like surprised, like at 5 years old, and then more than like her skill is her attitude.
Yeah.
Cause it's super sick. Like she was dropping ramps. She's 5-year-old dropping ramps, and she's going like, yeah. She's celebrating. For me, that's worth more than anything else.
for sure.
I don't really care.
It was the best part of my day yesterday. Like just seeing my kids being really happy on the skates.
It's sick, man. And that's the thing, like that I try to do every time that I put on my skates, like that, trying to kind of like. I used to say the same to everyone, which is for me, it was really hard to explain when you create those barriers or those goals for yourself that, like, I want to do that drop rail, and then for the week before, for me that happened a lot because living in a small town, then when there was like this drop rail or this drop ledge that I wanted to do in Lisbon, and I knew like I was going there on Saturday, so I was going on Saturday, I was coming back home on the bus on Saturday night, so I had the day to do it. No matter what, I was going to try it. So that those 3-4 days before, I wouldn't sleep. In my head, I had all the possibilities. The way that I did it, the way that I didn't do it, if I missed like that. I knew everything in my head. I would do that, I wouldn't really sleep. And then the day that I tried it, if I landed it, those 5 seconds before, I could never explain that to any girlfriend, any friend of mine, any mom, dad. No one would ever understand when I tell them like those 5 seconds right before landing that, it's better than an orgasm. It's just like, just like the whole thing. But you know, nowadays I don't get that feeling because
I've been pulling your dick for 5 days and you finally get there, you know.
I don't. Yeah, exactly. But nowadays I don't get that feeling from skating the same way. But I get something completely different by every time that I put my skates on. Call me a clown, call me whatever you want, but it's like trying to enjoy every single bit of it.
Yeah.
Or like even like you go skate, there's like the most stupid obstacle, but if there's someone around, if someone that never jumped down 2 steps, trying to feel happy for that one person that never did it to jump those 2 steps, like for me, it's maybe a completely different thing, but trying to get the positive out of completely different.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of joy in seeing other people succeed.
Maybe it's just because of what, I don't know, maybe it's just me.
Yeah.
And now one question that has nothing to do with that. What do you think about the actual state of skating? Because
I think it's great.
I'm asking about this because yesterday we were talking about extreme positivity somehow.
Yeah.
And you kind of like told me that we need a little bit of everything, diversity. So that's why I'm asking. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. I just have to figure out how to
not make
hit the head on the nail without offending anybody.
No, I'm gonna say like basically we're talking about sometimes, like I was saying like a few minutes ago, there's a lot more diversity in skating, but somehow it still happens a lot, which is like if someone is succeeding by being a certain way, it kind of feels like the whole wave goes in that, you know.
Yeah, they're all vegan, yoga, doing whatever, you know. It's like
and sometimes they need the bad boys.
Yeah, I need the bad boys, you know. Jay McFly, represent, love you, man.
Who's Jay McFly?
You don't even know. Yeah.
See, tell me, please.
He's a French kid, punk, tattoos everywhere, crazy guy.
The one that does the backflip with the...
I have no idea, man. This guy's just a cool punk. I love him. Like, he's the edge of the rollerblading scene. I love him.
Jay McFly.
Jay McFly. He has another French name. He's a McFly, you know.
I don't know. I saw this guy this French guy with some track pants just doing backflips out of the ramp, landing like drop knee shit. Maybe that guy, because that guy was sick.
Yeah. Just people doing their own thing, you know, like, I feel like people are on the safe track.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of like what I'm saying here is like being on a safe track, but you kind of somehow feel like there's needs of extremes the other way.
We need to have some edge, you know. Like, everybody can't be kazoos.
Yeah.
Or whatever, you know. I don't know. I have a hard time explaining how, like, I think it's very generic, like the skate crowd, and there is a consensus about where it's going, and I feel like nobody disagrees anymore. There's nobody like...
There's still people
yeah, of course. I'm not that into the scene to actually know it, but when I see it from where I am...
Dude, with me, everyone is always disagreeing. It seems like whatever I do is I just made a video. Okay, I just made a video called Book of Grinds, and I got shit because there's a website called Book of Grinds, and I made my video about like trying to explain all the grinds and the logic and all that stuff, and I got like people just say, how can you do that without mentioning the other project? I just didn't know, like, you know, like, it's just, with me it's always happening.
How can you know? You can't know everything.
No, it's not even that. It's just like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But what I'm trying to say is that it still happens, that type of fights. But let me ask you something then. In your opinion, no, it's not in your opinion. Who are your favorite 3 skaters at the moment?
At the moment?
3 skaters.
Who is my favorite 3 skaters? Matt Heinemann.
Matthew Heinemann.
He's the man. Always doing his own shit. Definition of style. Because he's doing his own shit.
Yeah.
He's innovating. He's not imitating. I love what he does. I love his...
attitude.
His attitude, his personality, and his view on life and how to get through life, you know.
And he shreds.
And he shreds.
Everything.
Everything, yeah. Always full speed, always happy, you know. Yeah.
Do you need any other one? You got two more.
Two
things.
more. Yeah, 2 more. Dominic Wagner. He will always be...
That's exactly what you... Dominic, I see Dominic as what you are saying that you want to do as a skater nowadays. Like, you're telling me that you want to push the corners and slide, like, grind along and, like...
Yeah, but me and Dominic, we had so many sessions together.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, what it does, it's what you were saying that you want, what you wanted to be able to do.
Yeah, if I could still do that, I would be so happy. You know, if my body would...
Me's more about the skill than the body, but...
Yeah, but he has the attack mentality. Yeah, for me, skating is also about attacking your obstacle.
Yeah.
That's why you cannot go slow.
It's kind of like if it's hot, you want to be there last time.
Yeah.
Lava, skating the lava.
Yeah. Yeah, Dominic, Matt, and today who else? I have to say Joe Atkinson, just because he
does his thing.
He does his thing, you know. I have so much respect for him.
I like Joe a lot. I like Joe a lot, and I started liking Joe more and more over the last 2 years when he's been traveling more and more. And then one of the reasons why I like Joe so much, and obviously he's super skilled and he has always been, he just somehow wasn't able to show it, you know. But one of the things that for me and for what I do and for what I want to do and for what I want skating to be, one of the reasons why I like Joe so much, it's because, yes, he makes money out of his competitions and all that, and he puts it all in. Yeah. He puts it back into traveling more and getting better. And is taking the sport to where very, very few people were ever.
Yeah, he actually got the ball and he
able
got it rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But but the only reason why the ball is rolling for him, it's because he constantly goes and pushes it. Because he could be that guy. Again, I do love what Roces are doing. I do love what Roces is doing. I know that they somehow got like into some type of fight which has nothing to do with me, nothing to do with whatever. But again, any other skater, if they weren't happy with something, if there wouldn't be a plan B, they wouldn't drop out. And him, he took the exact opposite approach. It was like, you know what, I'm not happy. I'm going to do my own thing. Yeah. I'm not saying it's the right or the wrong thing to do, but
it's just different ways of doing it.
But that's it. He put himself in that situation. It's like, I don't see myself in this, so I will keep doing my thing.
Yeah.
So I do love Joe skating and what he's doing right now too.
Yeah. Joe, yeah.
And right before this, as we just said, you were trying other types of skating. So
super weird.
Exactly what I was saying.
Crazy experience.
You have like a lot of skate control. Like I told you this right away. I've seen like pro skaters that have been like, they're like the top of the game in aggressive skating, whatever. They get on big wheels and they don't have 1/10 of the control
they don't really know how to skate.
Straight to the point, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not good.
That's my opinion. Like I told Ricardo that earlier. Like a lot of pros are really good at doing tricks, but they don't really know how to skate because they never went for a skate. They drove to a college and skated rails all day, and they drove home.
We don't have colleges in Europe.
No, but like could be anywhere. Yeah.
Okay, and
there's some like basic skating that they never picked up because they went maybe just straight to the skate park, learning to drop in, and they already had the speed to do the box. Like in the day, we would have to push because there was no quarter pipe. You would push to actually make the jump,
Yeah.
So you had to learn how to skate to actually make it to the ramp and actually have the speed to get out of it.
Especially in Europe.
Yeah.
Especially in Europe because usually our skate parks used to be a lot worse. It's the truth. Our skate parks used to be like.
Now Europe is heaven for all kinds of skate parks or whatever you want to do.
Funny enough, in some places in Europe, we were talking about this. It's like, funny enough, some parts of Europe, especially in France, people always question why the French skaters are so good in skate parks, whatever. They have, in general, French skaters have a better base in skating than anywhere else. I gave you the two examples of like Neumann and Wilfrig Rosignol. They were like two of my favorite French skaters ever. And they come from slalom. Yeah. The amount of control is like
slalom and free skating in the town,
Yeah, but that's where this conversation was going now. What do you think about the actual state of skating when it comes to big wheels? Would you see yourself actually getting a pair of like big wheels and just cruising?
Yeah, but I have a setup with big wheels at home.
Okay.
3 wheels, 4 wheels. Yeah, 3 wheels, I think. I don't remember. It's like I don't even remember what kind of brand the frame is or anything, but I use it for the Friday night skate.
And would you see yourself cruising out of the Friday night skate just for like the fun of it? Would you see yourself, like, imagine leaving the house and like going for some place, like going to a skate park, and instead of going for some grinds, just doing some slides on a flat bank in town or whatever?
No.
Okay.
I wish I could say yes, but I don't think that I would enjoy it.
Yes.
I never enjoyed like skating as transportation, maybe as a transportation, but not for a ride.
Okay.
It's like I don't go for a walk.
The reason why you do that Friday night skate is to go with your kids.
To go with my kids, to meet all the OGs who also shows up.
More like a social thing.
It's a social thing. It's my kids get basic skate practice. We skate 10 or 15 or 20 Ks, you know, and they get better, they get excited, they are proud that they did it, you know.
And you're proud for them.
And I'm proud for them, you know, but I could do without it, you know. I'm more there for saying hello to the OGs, having a beer and a smoke, you know, and yeah.
Full speed.
Yeah, full speed.
Dude, we gotta go downhill. Come on, downhill. Tell me, do you get the skate for a downhill session and you'll get it?
I live in a flat country.
You can go to Lausanne.
It's probably
still have that fifth floor.
Only Holland is flatter, I think. And I think Holland even have more hills than Denmark.
But you're about to go from here. You're about to go from Sinj to the Algarve, where the Angluzers guys live. They live in a part where there's quite a few mountains. They have some big wheel setups.
What?
It's time to go down.
Yeah, but I like back in the day when we would skate in Lausanne, it would be sessions around the downhill. You would take the train and the bus to the top of the city. We would skate downhill from spot to spot.
Yeah.
Everybody would do the rail or whatever, you know. And when everybody felt like it, we would do the downhill again to the next spot, you know.
Just one question: did you ever pay for the public transportation in Lausanne?
No, I don't think so. Never.
No one ever paid. I remember, like, the Portuguese guys. Yeah. One of the only times that I went on public transportation just to go up, I was like, okay, I'm gonna pay. Yeah. The other guys that didn't pay got caught.
Yeah, we never got caught. I don't think I ever paid for.
It was because by the Lausanne contest there was a lot more police, so those guys got caught. It was funny.
Yeah, it was crazy. But back then it was like, for me, the sensation of coming to Lausanne was also being able to skate downhill and skate with the street skaters from Swiss dressing. You remember that? Yeah. That inspired me I saw the Swiss dressing scene and saw something that I never felt before, and I had to visit, you know, and I kind of stayed, you know.
That's cool. And now, let's go back to track. We're back on track. Okay, we're back on track. So, you skated for Roces.
Yeah.
You skated for Roces for 3 years.
Yeah, 2 years, I think.
Did they wanted to stop your contract, or why did you leave Roces?
They sent me a contract with half the money that I used to earn.
Do you think it was because of the scene started going?
I have no idea. I just got mad and told them I wasn't gonna sign it. You know, I was like, there was no deal.
Okay.
And
where did you went from there?
I skated for. Where did I go? I think I skated for Salomon, Denmark, like just a distributor in Denmark for a while.
Would they pay as a country?
No, they didn't, but because then I moved to the Bauer skate because they would pay me.
So you went from Roces
to Salomon to Bauer to thinking that it didn't matter and I needed to skate rims only. Like, Kato was my friend. It always felt kind of wrong not being supportive of him, you know, even though he could never pay me in anything. So it was like, are you loyal to your friend or do you want to cash in? And for me, loyalty is everything, you know.
So what skates do you skate right now?
The rims High Resilience 2.0, the last one from this spring.
And do you always pay your skates, or?
No, me and Kato, we're good friends. So like every 10 years, I will ask him for skates. And then my last skate was the 09. I skated that for like,
10 years?
Yeah, for 10 years.
And you still got the same liner on?
Yeah, then I moved the 09 liner over in the new skate. Because there's a really good liner with good leather padding and everything, like a different quality. And it was actually Kato. Kato brought skates for him to skate a session with me. But when he saw my 09s, he said, "No, man, we're not gonna skate together. You're gonna take my skates." And he's a 41 and I'm a 42, so I had to take out the smaller liner and put in my own liner. So yeah. But I usually don't call for skates. You know, I'm satisfied with what I got.
Hey, you go for a skate, like. Not really.
Yeah, you don't really need a new one. You can change a part, you know. It's like
Yeah, you went through the whole thing. I did too, like that era that you could never change, even if you had that OG aluminium frame on the Roces. But in general, you came from the era that no one could change something. Through the era that you could start changing frames.
Start changing frames and sole plates or the heel plate, like back in the day.
The
When
CDS
that was
Detroit.
a thing, yeah. And the Rem's heel plate when Kato made that.
If you could choose a skate that is like the best skate ever, what would it be? And like, I know that you're really good friends with Kato, but like a skate that you think that somehow changed.
Yeah, but that's the Salmon skate.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Because the extreme comfort of the many years of liner development in Salomon that they just implemented in their inline skates, and they just felt wonderful.
Yeah.
And for me, the combination of the Salomon frame and the Salomon boot was a perfect balance between speed in the frame and brake in the boot. Like today, all is slippery. You have no idea what a real backslide feels like. You're just balancing and floating it. That's how I feel it when I see it.
We'll get there to that thing.
But when I see someone doing a backslide today, I see someone hovering.
You can actually control it, but the thing is,
you can control it, but it's a more balanced thing in your body than it's a pressure thing in your foot.
What about torques on Salomons? Because with the boot stopping that much, like a backside torque okay-ish, a front side torque is really sticky. Some people could do them really good.
For me back then it was like a choice. Do you wanna be able to do that, or you wanna be able to do that? It is true. You know, it's like you couldn't have both sides of the coin. Like I see today that people do everything.
Yeah.
They have both sides of the coin, but it's another feeling, and they do it. Like I think the whole feeling of the grind is different.
Yes, like talking about that, we're talking about floating, and now you said the word grinding.
Yeah.
You told me that you ate wax. Why?
I hate wax.
Why? Because I'm just asking that because for a lot of people this is like no. A lot of people is like no. Inline skaters, whatever, they love wax.
Yeah, and I've been talking against it since the first time I saw a guy rubbing something crazy, you know. Like for me, it's grinding is resistance.
As the word says, grind.
Yeah, grind. You know, there has to be something, and today you slide or hover across whatever.
Kind of like floating.
Yeah, you're floating across it. Yeah, the balance is in another place. It's hard for me to explain because I never got good at like backsliding as a hovercraft, you know.
What was the skate that you would backslide the best? The Majestic. Majestic was amazing for it.
Yeah, Majestic was amazing for it, but this, like I said, I think the Salomon was
your best backslide skate.
Best backslide skate.
And the Bowers?
That just sucked. I really didn't like him, you know.
What did you like about the Bowers?
I think it was the way that the heel came down and locked you in like a weird position. Like,
which ones did you skate? The green ones? Those Respect?
Yeah, I think there was maybe the golden brownish.
After that, the Respect or whatever that was.
But it's like the sole plate was not like a complete one. It was like a hole to actually get that feeling that I was talking about in the backslide. But the heel came down like in a weird way, so you. Yeah.
It was like a little fin coming down.
Yeah. It was like it's a fin coming out.
It was really easy to get through that, no? But would you use like one of those CDS Detroit heel plates on it?
No, because that model already had like the plate on it, you know. But back in the day with the Roces skates, we would put like whatever piece of plastic you could find. Like awesome. You would cut a piece of the cutting board from the kitchen, and you would put a few screws in it to make a flat grind surface.
Yes, because it makes a huge difference. For alley-oop grinds, it was like the difference between doing an alley-oop sole like this or like this.
Yeah. You are either on the heel or you are on the toe, you know.
Yeah.
and with the heel plates back in the day, it put the heel down, you know. And,
and when you started doing the first alley-oop top sides and stuff, that would make a huge difference. That you could pressure on your head. Yeah, I guess that's it, man. What else? Do we have anything else that you?
No, I'm not here for me.
Do you see yourself like still going for those skate sessions, like those full-on skates, like when you're 50?
Yes, not as often, but it's like that's how I do it, you know. It's like all or nothing. All or nothing.
That Danish, man, like Vikings. You guys need to go for it.
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever find pleasure in like cruising slow motion.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. I hope I will find pleasure in it someday, but I really don't.
Yeah, man. Everyone have their like you're true to your roots, to what you really want to see in skating.
Yeah.
I guess that's it.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Thank you so much. You didn't do it for anyone than me, but I'm loving it. And thank you so much for me. It was awesome. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. If you did, well, I don't even need to say anything. You know what to do. Thank you, Tom. Yeah.
Support. Free Boshi.
Okay. Do you know exactly what happened to Boshi?
No, I have no idea. I just got the T-shirt, so I represent.
Okay, free Boshi.
Free
Cheers,
Boshi.
guys. See you soon.